believe I was in Psalm 94:19. When the cares of my heart are many, your consolations cheer my soul. And this is one of the most beautiful Psalms ever that just, my heart. And when doubts filled my mind, your comfort gave me renewed hope and cheer. And that's the NLT. He comforts us and renews us with hope and cheer. And that's so beautiful because our minds are filled with so much doubt, are filled with anxiety and worry and so much uncertainty, and fear feels like it's like gripping us and choking, sucking the life out of us. We can take comfort in him. We worry of what might happen because we would like to think we are in control. We like to think of ourselves as invincible. And when something, anything threatens that, we crumble. Those fears are reminders we are not in control. Tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow might not come. We make plans. There's, that saying, it's like God laughs at our plans because we can make all the plans we want. That doesn't mean that they're gonna come to pass. We may not know what's gonna happen in the world, what's gonna happen to us, what the day of tomorrow will bring, but we can take comfort in our God who does, and he renews our strength and reminds us who he is and of his promises, that we can rest assured he is with us. We can hope in him. We can be cheerful and joyful in the waiting, that we don't have to know all the answers. We were never meant to. We aren't meant and we weren't created to know all things. And why this is brings so much comfort and joy and cheer is because we are not meant to carry these burdens. We are meant to trust in the one who does, the Almighty, the Alpha, the Omega, the one who has a sovereign plan, is in control of everything. He gives us choices in this world. Yes, he gives us free will and he gives us options. Yes, but at the end of the day, nothing will come to pass that is not according to his will. And he can work our plans for good. The verse that comes to mind is, he says to his brothers, but you planned for evil. God worked for good, for the salvation of many. And that is exactly what happens. Out of the darkest things, out of the worst case scenarios, God has a plan. And again, it's not that we're never going to have trials. It's not that nothing bad is ever going to happen, but he will strengthen us through those times. It will bring us closer to him, and we will see his hand working in those times. And in the moment, while we're in the thick of it, we may not know why. We may never know why, but we know that through time we will look back and see, oh, that's what he was doing, or oh, that's why that had to happen that way. In the middle of it, we only see what's right in front of us. We don't see the big picture, but God does. And so we can take comfort in knowing that we don't have to have all the answers. That's a relief that should bring us comfort and joy. If you suffer from this, and if you struggle with this, and you struggle with these thoughts, I suggest to you start praying and think of it. Okay, what if this does actually happen? God, I pray that if it does happen, if it does come to pass, that's how I'm meant to die. If I'm meant to be buried alive in my backyard, okay, dark things used to pop into my head, I pray it brings him to Christ. Okay, I pray that whoever is doing this maybe gets a chance to meet you, that somehow you work it for your glory. Like, I don't see how you could get glory from this, but you may, and I hope it does work out. I pray for strength, that in those moments while those horrible things are passing, that I don't reject you, that in that time I don't grow hate towards you, that I don't curse your name, but instead that I can still glorify you even if I'm meant to die a gruesome death. That was one of my biggest fears, and it changed my way of thinking, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. In Proverbs 3:5-6, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Basically, it's saying trusting in God with all your heart is choose to trust God and his understanding. And like I said, those were fears of mine, that something was going to happen to me. I feared for my life, and sometimes they're irrational, like to a certain degree. Like bad things happen in this world all the time, and you can't guarantee they're not going to happen to you. Sometimes we're justified. Bad things happen to us and we're not guaranteed they're not going to happen again. It's not a what if scenario. It already happened. So we have a justified fear of things. It's putting down our guard of like, okay, I have to take this into my own hands, knowing that God protects you from things that you can't even imagine, things you can't even see or believe. He's always protecting you. He's always working for you, guarding you from things that our minds can't even comprehend. So it's your choice to live in this fear and or to trust in God that He knows what He's doing. And even though things look hard, even though things look really crooked and just it feels like everything is crumbling around you, that He will set straight your paths, that He will always point you towards Him and towards safety and towards His warmth and His love, and that He will come through yet again. So those are some verses in the Old Testament that talk about anxiety. These are like my things that I do with verses that may help you. If this is something that you struggle with and that you have a hard time, getting a handle on it, I highly recommend getting yourself little sticky notes. These are from the Daily Grace. They're really cute. I have a whole bunch of them. This one's just from Amazon. They're really cute, small, but these have like little every moment for His glory. I don't know if you can see that. And then preach the gospel to yourself. And today matters for eternity. The struggle is real, but so is our God. Taking little post-it notes and writing these verses down, stick them in your mirror as you're getting ready. You remind yourself as you walk out your door, in your car, like anywhere and everywhere really. It's really good to have them on hand, or even on your phone case, get like little smaller ones to keep reminding yourself when you have those moments to just read it over yourself over and over and over again. At the end of the day, He doesn't ever command us to be fearful. In fact, He tells us not to fear and to trust in Him. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. That is a promise. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And we've read the Psalms and other verses in the Bible where He promises that He is with us. This is also from the Daily Grace. The Daily Grace has really cute stuff. Hosanna Revival. They also have a bunch of devotions. They have Bibles. Actually, this Bible is from Hosanna. This Bible it's a journaling Bible, and so as you can tell, I've been through it. I'm almost done with the Old Testament, which is a side note, but this is from them if you're looking for a Bible. But it is well. It is a 3-week study, I believe, and it takes you day by day, a little summary of what you studied throughout the week, and this is all about anxiety. So it's a little devotional that I did when I first started getting to the faith because it was a very troubling time. It really did help me, and they also give you like a PDF file. Download the app. It does give you like an online version of this if you don't have like your book on you, but if you're working or you're in school and you kind of need like a quick reminder, it gives you like your daily stuff too. Kind of takes you through it so you can remind yourself, go back on days. They have little videos explaining it also, which is really helpful to kind of help me find a bunch of these verses. Is the Daily Truth also from Daily Grace Co. And it takes you through like different topics. So it talks about like anxiety and stuff, and it takes you through a whole bunch of like, the first one is, and a bunch of verses that you can go back to. Again, this is a really good tool to use with little sticky notes for you to memorize these things. And then what I do, I showed you earlier, was my little notebook. I take it and I write little Bible verses in it. I do my own little like journaling thing. I write little post-it notes. Commentary Enduring Word. You can download the app on your phone or look it up online. Using commentaries, really digging in and breaking down verses. Blue Letter Bible is really helpful with that. It gives you like the Greek word or the Hebrew word, and it gives you a definition and where it's used in the Bible. And then I also just journal in my Bible. I write down questions that I have, or just digging in it. I know anxiety is a tough one because it's you struggling with your own mind, and it's not always external. It's not something that you can see and recognize that someone is struggling with it. It's definitely very personal. God's promises are everlasting. He does not go back on his word, and we can trust in him. Praying about it, praying through those worries, praying through those hard times, even when you don't feel it, pray about it. Pray and pray. And I don't mean like you have to be on your knees and like, God, how a lot of these people were back then, in sackcloth and ashes and ripping their clothes, to show how emotional they were, how truly devastated they were. You don't have to do that. I mean, just talking to him, tell him what you feel, and it's okay. You know why? Because he already knows. He knows how you're feeling. He knows how angry you are. He knows how confused you are, how you're full of doubt, you're scared, and you feel alone, and you look up to the sky and you raise your hands and you shout, God, do you not see me? Do you not see what I'm going through? Am I alone? Has this been all for nothing? And he sees it. So cry out to him and tell him. And even if you don't hear him, even if you don't see it right then and there, keep going. Keep going, keep seeking him. He will reveal himself to you. He will bring you out of it. It might not be with the snap of a finger right then and there, but it will happen, and it takes time. But don't lose faith. Keep trusting him. Keep pursuing him. Keep looking for him. And I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. It's definitely, it can feel really discouraging, especially when you're praying for something and you just don't see a way out. But know that most of the time, that is when God glorifies himself. We see that in Israel. God brings them out of Egypt. They're running away and they see Pharaoh close behind and they see nothing but the Red Sea. In that moment, can you imagine their fear, their anxiety, their like complete loss? Like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, we're dead. We were like, why? I can imagine if that was me in that situation. I know that for sure I would have been devastated. I would have been crushed. This is it. I'm drowning or we're being killed. That was the moment that God displayed himself in such a glorious way, in such a way that was so unbelievable, unimaginable. I'm sure not one of them ever thought that the sea was just gonna open up. And then they all made it through on dry land, okay? Underneath the sea, they made it through. And when their problems came after them, when death came and tried to still get to them, they closed and they were crushed while Israel was saved. I mean, can you imagine being there? And that's how most of our problems are. Again, not exactly in that way, but most of the time he shows himself in ways that we would have never thought possible, and he just comes through.